Today, I'm having a conversation with a new friend, architect Ilaria Mazzoleni. Uh, and this is Raymond Richard Neutra, recording for the Neutra Institute for Survival Through Design. Ilaria, you and I met last fall at Bakersfield when there was an event about modernism in the town of Bakersfield. For interesting historical reasons, is a hotbed of mid-century modern. And you shared with me the book that is behind you in your virtual background that you and others have prepared. And I was intrigued by it because it reflected grappling with an issue that my father grappled with in his book, Survival Through Design, that he was inspired by biological research and was exhilarated by it. And he advocated that people should be studying issues related to the responsibility of architects to people and the planet. And some architects, like Philip Johnson, said, Richard, this isn't architecture. You can't do architecture by science. It's a creative thing. And in the end of his book, he said that architects can't use the methods and ideas of science in cold blood, but you have to kind of sleep on it. And so apparently you too were intrigued and inspired by science. So tell me a little bit about your career and how this came about.
Yes, thank you, Raymond, for inviting me to this podcast, and it was a pleasure to meeting you in Bakersfield. Yes, I have a background in architecture and in building science, but I've always been interested in ecology as well. And one way, to look at both comes together in the possibility of doing research and in understanding how things works. Research can take many point of view, and research in architecture is really the research of the place, of the habitat, of the environment that surrounds the place where we build something. I come from a small village in the Italian Alps, and nature has been all around us, in a little bit like in our background. And I feel that research is not very dry as soon as we take it outside of the laboratory, in fact. So field research is what it feels to me the most appealing for the creative mind. And that has been really an inspiration for then having other people to work with me and come with me to Italy to do more research and inspired by nature, something that today we also call bio-inspired design, or we call biomimicry, where science is the foundational work done for then designing architecture or any other endeavor that the creative mind can bring to us. So that's how I got close to the question of creativity and research.
Now, you started a program in the village where you grew up, and I think you can show us the website that describes this program and gives a little bit of an idea of the place.
Yes, I'm going to share the screen and show a few images of our location. We are in the Taleggio Valley, which gives the name of a famous cheese, not far from the mineral water Pellegrino in the Italian Prealps. And this is a small village not dissimilar to others in the alpine environment where I grew up, and where we started Nature, Art, and Habitat as a summer program where we invite with an open call people from different disciplines, not only from the architecture and design realm, but also artists, musicians, visual artists, performing artists, but also economists and scientists, trying to break the borders of the disciplines. And they come together in this place where they spend about a month to do research every year inspired by a different topic of nature. We started more than 10 years ago. So at about a 10 years mark, we decided to put together the book where we could describe a little bit of the findings, the processes, the ideas that are underlying the importance of coexisting in this planet. So it's not a singular existence, but it's a coexistence.
Now, so there's a call that you put out, right, at a certain time of year. When does it?
Yeah, it's usually before Christmas. Every year before the winter holidays, we have a call that stays open for a couple of months. Yes.
So in the book, there were a number of chapters, and I suggested that you and I talk about the chapter on soil, because I thought this was the most surprising of the chapters. People talk about ecology of animals and water and trees, but to talk about soil was kind of new to me. And you put out a call at a certain point in which you suggested a whole series of subtopics about soil. You had done your team had done some research about it. And then with the deadline of when, what time of year does the deadline for the calls come in?
It's about this time of the year when we do a selection of the fellows that will come then starting June. So
Right.
it's about end of February.
And so people like next year, if they were interested to follow this, they would go to the website is https://nar.it, and that would get to it. So let's talk about one of the projects that one of the people who made a presentation, and the presentation is there a form to fill out, or is there an essay, or what is the form of the application?
So the application on this same website, nar.it, there is a call where we explain the topic of the year. In 2025, the new topic is minerals, but every year is a different one, or etc. And then there is an application, a Google form to fill up and propose a project that relates to that element of nature, but also to the research field or the discipline that one is part of and exploring, and that connects to the place as well. So in the case of soil, of course, we had different disciplines, different fellows. We try to, again, have people from different parts of the world, from different backgrounds, different age. Is really a not hierarchical group, but is actually a place for open discussion. So being from different backgrounds really helps and facilitates that. And I think one of the projects that you were intrigued by when you read the book you told me about was the one of Nemi Cafe. She is an artist, but has a background in biology. So she worked as a biologist for several years and is of origins. Originally, she comes from Chile, but she lives now in Germany. So on herself brings already a lot of the characteristic of diversity that NAR brings together. But what she's interested is to unveiling the microcosms of nature. So often she works with microbiomes and things that she has been observing from using a microscope. And in the case of soil, she extracted samples of soil from the dirt that she found in the valley. And then she created this beautiful embroidery of all the bacteria and the micro lives that she found in the valley. And it's difficult maybe now to see it, but that's why one has to read the book.
Stop sharing the website and then you can the
yes, maybe it's possible that. And at the same time, it's always a bit difficult, but hopefully.
Yes, you see it. You get an idea of it.
You can see the little dirt. It's like a petri dish that you would find in a laboratory, in a microscope, but now it's in a beautiful piece of textile that really brings the lay person in contact and in the understanding of how scientists can see the world and can understand the environment and the importance also of the micro lives to support the macro lives that we are part of.
And so she and 5 other people were there at the same time. In the place, did you tell me that this used to be a little hotel that your parents ran when you grew up?
Yes, it was a hotel, and then it turned into, there are apartments where people stay and they can do their research and gather and get together, but they have their privacy also to work and create.
So how does this work? Does everyone have their own kitchen in the apartment, and they provide their own transportation? You're simply offering the space, right?
Yeah, we offer the space, and there are different programs with different subtleties, but the general thing is we provide the space and the background material and research and, the tutoring. Even though it's not a school, people come with different backgrounds, so we do support their research in as much as we can. And also our own group is distributed throughout the world with different disciplines. So sometimes from a distance, but you still get, inputs from the members of our group. That is not just me. That is important to say that NAR has been around for 10 years and is thanking the work that is done by an important group of people that here participated also as the editors of the book. And people then come and stay and have their own apartment where they can cook for themselves. Is private space. They're all grown up, so you don't want to, you want to have some time alone and some time together. And then there are areas for gathering, for sharing meals, and for hiking. We really want people to be in the outdoors, to experience nature and to experience oneself limits, to put our bodies out in nature, to then understand what we need to connect, to protect, to be in this coexisting relationship with the other elements.
And in order to get a copy of this book for people who are curious about it, how could they get it?
So on our website, there is a page where there are details, but if you are in the United States, the book is distributed by Syracuse Press, Syracuse University Press, or Amazon.com is always at our doorstep. Those are the 2 locations. Some of the bookstores in larger cities may have it, but those are the 2 easy points.
And this particular chapter that I've homed in on, it has a chapter by a lawyer who's interested in indigenous law and practices and talking about indigenous attitudes towards soil. And then a professor who studies the something that I'd never heard of before called pedology, which is the study of soils, a kind of branch of geology, really, and how both the biological and mineral aspects of soil have a whole history and so forth. And then the summer's worth of different artists or scientists who spent the summer on this topic gave brief discussions of what their projects had been and what their reflections were on it. And each of the chapters take that general structure.
That's correct. Yes, we always have each of the 6 chapters has 2 essays, one that looks at it from a more broader global perspective. And as you mentioned, Marilyn Poitras is a lawyer and looked at it at the idea of Mother Earth in the indigenous culture. And as today in the Western culture, we look at the commons and the individual property. So are topics that are quite large, and they can be of relevance to many of us, as well as the local one. The second essay is perhaps getting a little bit more scientific, especially in the case of soil, where Alessandro is a scientist, but he wants to make accessible his science, to explain to us that soil is not just dirt that we want to keep out our shoes, but it's much more than that. And we want to really understand it and learn it, the importance. And then the closing of the fellows, it changes between the different research, because each peel of these projects is opening up an entire realm of research that these people have been devoting themselves, being a scientist or being an artist. So it's really rich, and it's also a book that doesn't want to necessarily ask to be read start to end. Like you did, you started reading soil and got excited and focused more on that, right? And the chapter on water can be read after, even if it comes before. So we are not used anymore to open a book and read it all. So that was the intention also, to allow people to read a portion here and a portion there. And sometimes just a poem. Before going to sleep, one can read just 1-page poem that encounters in the book.
Great. Well, I wanted to take this opportunity for viewers to our site to be introduced to this interesting program and to this interesting book. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting us.